Hi guys, sorry it's a bit late tonight, but I thought I'd bring you the next instalment of our chapter where, if you remember from yesterday, King Minos had agreed to save the prisoners, the Argonauts, and the group of time hunters in return for them defeating the Minotaur. Can you remember from yesterday? Right, so let's go on with the chapter. I'm going to read to the end of the chapter because it's quite late and you guys should be in bed. And if you're catching up tomorrow morning, and if you're not, then get to bed after this story, okay? Right, here we go. Everyone looked to the rear doorway as a young boy entered carrying a loop of rope. With a firm jerk, he pulled a snow-white foal into view. Becky felt her heart skip a beat. Murmurs of wonder filled the room as everyone caught sight of the most astonishing thing. Tucked snugly beneath the foal's shoulder blades were small but well-defined wings. King Minos rolled off his throne. Prisoners, this is Pegasus, horse of the gods. Of course she can't fly yet, but when she's older she will take to the skies like an eagle. That's if I allow it, of course. He snatched the rope from the boy and yanked the horse closer to him. I may just have her wings clipped. It was then Becky noticed the tiny horse was trembling with fear. She couldn't stop herself. How dare you? Her angry voice filled the room. What? King Minos replied with a mixture of surprise and amusement. Uncle Percy held up his hand, gesturing her to stay silent. No, Becky. Becky ignored him. How dare you talk of clipping her wings? And don't drag her like that, you're scaring her. King Minos looked bewildered. Are you addressing me in such a manner, child? Yes, I am, Becky said boldly. Shame on you. Some king you are. King Minos glared at her. Silence! Quiet, Becky, Uncle Percy said. Becky looked desperately at her uncle. But, and for the first time, Uncle Percy raised his voice to her. Becky, that's enough. Becky was about to object, but his angry tone and a sharp shake of his head made her think otherwise. Muzzle the child, King Minos roared at Uncle Percy. If she speaks again, I will have your heads where you stand. With an incensed breath, he returned to his throne. Castor, take the beast to the hall of the colonnades. Flog her if she whimpers. The boy nodded dutifully. He dragged Pegasus through the rear door and into the far room. The small horse arched its head sadly towards Becky and then disappeared. Becky boiled with anger. Then, as she stared at the spot where Pegasus had stood, something very strange happened. She experienced a very strange sensation, as if a droplet of water had trickled onto the top of her head, and then she saw something move in the opposite room. A cloaked man, his back pressed against the wall, his hooded face twisted left and right, as if watchful of an unseen enemy. She blinked to double-check, but the man had gone. A strange sensation had gone too. She turned to Joe, then Will, and finally to Uncle Percy, but their faces were expressionless, as if they hadn't seen a thing. Impossible, Becky thought. How could they not see him? The man was right in front of them. Now she was really baffled. Meanwhile, King Minos continued his rant. Now look what you've done. You have vanquished my fine humour. He huffed loudly. Very well. Face the Minotaur. Helidaeus, make an announcement in the marketplace. Daedalus's gate will be opened. Now, get them out of my sight. Weapons, Uncle Percy said. We'll need weapons. The king hesitated. Very well. Helidaeus, arm them. I will join you at the gate in 1 hour. Now, leave me. I trust you know what you're doing, Will said to Uncle Percy as they exited the throne room. Haven't the foggiest, Uncle Percy whispered back. All the while, as a much cheerier Helidaeus led them through the corridor of processions, Becky's eyes remained fixed on Uncle Percy. Eventually he noticed and said, Is something the matter, Becky? It's nothing, she said, looking away. Something happened in there, didn't it? Uncle Percy probed, lowering his voice to the Argonauts so that they couldn't hear. Something you can't explain? Why'd you say that? Becky said. Did you see something? No, Uncle Percy replied, but I saw it on your face. Becky sighed. I thought I saw something in the far room. What? Said Uncle Percy. Becky's face creased. She knew her suspicions were unbelievable, but then the unbelievable had become quite commonplace lately. Well, at first I thought I saw, you. I think he was with us, mocked Joe. I know he was, dimpling, Becky snapped at him. Let your sister speak, Joe, said Uncle Percy. Becky turned back to him and whispered, I mean, another Another you. Another me, Uncle Percy replied. Yes, or somebody who looked like you, Becky said. I mean, whoever it was wore a hood. I didn't see their face, but, well, it was either you or... Can I ask you something? Of course, Uncle Percy replied. Your brother, Becky whispered. Was he a time traveller too? Yes. An unusual expression crossed Uncle Percy's face. But he's dead. But so was Bernard Preston, yet he was here an hour ago. True. Perhaps your mysterious stranger was Bernard then. I don't think so, said Becky assuredly. No, the more I think about it, the more I'm certain it was you. Or maybe you're just seeing things, said Joe. Becky shot him an angry look. Why don't you just go and eat your own bum? Uncle Percy frowned. What a delightful image, he said with distaste. Anyway, Becky, why do you think it was me? The same thing that made her think she saw George Clooney in Kebabland last year, Joe sneered. Will you shut up? Becky said. She turned back to Uncle Percy. I don't know. It just felt like you. It was actually the strangest feeling I've ever had. Like the one you had when you saw George, Joe interrupted. A moment later, he nursed a very sore arm. Becky never did finish the sentence. Ooh, it's exciting. So that's the end of the chapter. The next chapter is called Edgar. I have no idea what's going on. So join me tomorrow and we'll find out. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.